The Gospel of Gold by G.S. Lewis. Chapter 9: Life, Death, and Team Rocket. The journey over the top of Union Cave took the better part of a day. Spirit vanished and returned on a fairly regular basis, normally going while leaving Gold a thought to ponder, and appearing about an hour later. Gold wished that she could have remained for the whole time, but realized that she had probably staggered her uses of future sight to make the most of their time together. When he brought it up with her, Spirit favored him with a pleased smile before responding, "Time works differently on the other side. Here, every moment counts. Of course I want to make the most of it with you." And then she was gone. Here, Gold entertained the idea that she actually enjoyed maddening him with riddles. Then, he considered that her smile, perhaps, was at the foreknowledge of his understanding in the end. Maybe it was a combination of both. There were other conversations which Gold could follow without trouble, but tested him in a different way. Each was like a refining fire, burning away the dross of his naivete and making him wiser to the world. They were always bearable by Spirit's grace, but painful nonetheless. The worst, in Gold's opinion, occurred as he reached his final descent down the side of the rocky path. "I know that silver mixes truth and lies," he said as he carefully placed his feet down the slope. "But I have to hear it from you. Was he telling the truth about Todd's Croconaw?" Spirit was silent for so long that Gold wondered if she had gone away, or if her limit on future sight had expired at last. Finally, she said softly but firmly, "You cannot save everyone, Gold." A chill of nausea ran through Gold's body, causing him to shudder involuntarily. He felt sick to his stomach, and a mixture of wrath and sorrow in equal measures. Without warning, words burst from his mouth. "How could he? How could he? After seeing that girl lose both her Pokemon, and then nearly losing Croconaw himself, and then Cyndaquil dying!" Gold's foot slipped, and he clasped his walking stick automatically to keep himself steady. His legs shook with sudden weariness, but anger quickly redoubled his strength. "Silver was right!" he screamed, so loudly that it hurt his throat. "The power of the Life Giver should not belong to me if I'm going to waste it on Pokemon who are doomed anyway! God, what a horrible judge of character I was, to think he could change! Todd, you selfish, stubborn bastard! You've made fools of us both! And a corpse of your only Pokemon!" For a while longer, Gold raged, and Spirit did not vanish as she normally would have when giving him time to think. She stood at his side, still cloaked in human guise and the mantle of her resplendent wings, waiting patiently until Gold had shouted himself out. As he slumped over, panting for breath, she knelt in front of him and made eye contact. "Gold," she said, with a voice of sincere conviction, "you have to forgive him." Gold looked at her, startled. "Me?" he asked, wide-eyed, not believing what he was hearing. "He should beg his dead Croconaw for forgiveness. He should ask God for forgiveness." "Do you think he is not?" Gold straightened indignantly. "I don't know! But why do I have to forgive him?" "Because," said Spirit, "it is the only way you will be able to forgive yourself when you fall short, as he has." Once again, Gold suddenly found himself back on the roof of Faulkner's gym. He remembered the feel of Cyndaquil's body in his hands, still warm, but growing colder to the touch. It occurred to him now that its death had come about from one particular decision he had made at the journey's start. Gold had wanted to take up the Pokemon journey to please his father, and Spirit stood ready to support him. Silver, however, then threatened him with a private vision of Cyndaquil's demise. Gold foolishly heeded Silver at the first, and fled from his journey before it could begin. As a result, he'd nearly drowned, and Cyndaquil was passed into the pitiless claws of the trainer called Kamen. The rest was history. Todd and Gold were both guilty, certainly not in the same capacity, but there was an undeniable weight to it that hung like a burden around Gold's neck. He hadn't noticed it when his mind was occupied with other things, but it was a sore that asserted itself the moment he became aware. His anger drained away, and he flopped down in weariness, laying his stick across his body. "Forgiveness," he murmured dimly. "I don't know if I'm capable of it right now. Do either of us even deserve it?" Gold closed his eyes, feeling wretched. In front of him, he could hear the soft wind of Spirit exhaling. "Good works do not offset bad ones, no matter how numerous," she said solemnly. "This you already realize in your heart, but if I told you that you were already forgiven..." Gold opened his eyes. Spirit's face was inches from his own, her expression as earnest as any person's he'd ever seen. She looked at him meaningfully. "Could you then forgive?" He couldn't answer her. Forgiving a truly terrible act was something he had never yet had to do in his life. Still, Spirit never implied anything lightly, and he wondered what she was getting at, suggesting that he was already forgiven. I need more time to think on it," he said, still not willing to meet her eyes. "You shall have it," Spirit replied, a note of regret in her voice. "My time, however, is up for now. When next we meet, I will be myself again." She vanished. Gold felt a pang of loneliness to see her go, but she had never yet failed to return. He rested for a few minutes, then reapplied his energies to scaling the final part of the rocky terrain. Gold had just caught sight of the immediate ground below when he saw the man. It had been some time since his last contact with people, but this particular man's style of dress startled him so badly that his footing slipped. Before he could stop himself, Gold half slid, half tumbled the last 20 feet of his descent. He was fortunate to miss any jagged stones, but the moment he thumped down onto soil, pain shot through his left leg. Despite getting the wind mostly knocked out of him in the fall, he still yelped like a dog and twisted into fetal position, clutching at his ankle. The man noticed at once, and with an expletive, hastened over to where Gold lay. A closer inspection erased any doubt in Gold's mind. The adult standing over him wore tight-fitting, all-black clothing, save for his white gloves and boots. A black chimney sweep cap sat upon his head, partially covering a nest of turquoise-colored hair that might have been a wig. Perhaps this man did not want to reveal his true identity, and for good reason. A large, blood-red R stood emblazoned on his chest. Here was an agent of the nefarious Team Rocket, and he wore his clothes unabashedly. He scowled as he looked down at Gold. "And just where did you come from, boy?" Gold only groaned and gripped his leg. The Rocket's eyes traced their way up the slight dust trail that Gold's fall had agitated, and his eyebrows raised. "From over the top, huh?" he concluded, answering his own question. My, you League runners really can't stand to lose any time, can you?" "I'm not with the League," Gold protested reflexively, resenting the association to them. It was made all the worse coming out of a rocket's mouth. "I'm just passing through." "Ah, well, your timing's unfortunate." The rocket motioned to the cave wall, and Gold saw that he had fallen close to the other entrance of Union Cave from Azalea's side. "If you had just given us a little longer, we would have cleared the way to the other side before you'd even arrived, kid. Then you wouldn't have hurt your leg in the first place." Gold pushed himself up to sitting position, giving the rocket a skeptical glare. "Wait a second. You guys are paving a path through all that collapsed stone?" he asked. "What's in it for you?" The rocket frowned again, then pulled back his lips into a very forced-looking smile. "Come now, is it so hard to believe that we can be charitable once in a while?" he returned. "If not, consider it an endeavor of mutual benefit. In the end, we're helping to return Azalea Town's connection with the outside world." "That still doesn't answer my question," pointed Gold flatly. "You guys aren't known for your charity work." He regretted his words at once, as the rocket reached down and seized him roughly under his arms, then pulled him upright. This stranger was undeniably strong, and could have probably lifted Gold with one arm if he hadn't given a thought for balance. But instead, the man set Gold down in such a way as to carefully avoid putting weight on his bad leg. He then backed away, shooting Gold another faux smile. "See?" he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "We can be helpful. If you want, I'll even escort you into town. Hell, I'll carry you." While he still didn't trust the man, Gold acknowledged that this was better treatment than he could have possibly anticipated from Team Rocket, especially given that they were away from any witnesses. He had been curt, borderline rude to the man, and it might have gone a lot worse for him. But astonishingly, the rocket was actually letting him go. Perhaps it was merely because he had no Pokemon to steal, but Gold wasn't about to linger and ask. He shook his head and reached down for his walking stick, intent on limping the remainder of the way into Azalea. "Hey, Proton!" Gold looked up. From out of the cave entrance emerged another figure in full Team Rocket getup. He was holding two long and pink objects under each of his arms, which flopped like dead salmon. On his face was a proud smile. "Check it out, Proton!" he crowed. 2-for-1 trip! Once these sell, I'll finally have that mountain bike!" Proton's face stood in stark contrast to his associates. The false smile had mutated into a grimace of bared teeth and thinly masked fury. The other rocket paused as he noticed, his smile faltering. Then he looked at Gold, as if seeing him for the first time, and his eyes widened. His mouth formed an oval shape, releasing a silent, "Oh, God damn it, Tom," muttered Proton softly, reaching for his Pokeball belt. "What's the point of me keeping lookout if you're just going to shout our operation for the whole world to hear?" He set his gaze back on Gold, his eyes now hard and cold. "Somehow, I suspect that if I let this one hobble into town now, he'll sing like a canary." He let loose the Pokeball. "So I will drop him in canary fashion." In a flash of light, a spherical floating Pokemon appeared in front of Gold. It was purple in coloration, with a skull and crossbones symbol etched under its grinning mouth. "A coughing," thought Gold, as he backed automatically away. This balloon-like creature was known for its tendency to belch forth poisonous fumes. Certainly, Proton was the gas in the mine, and Gold the canary. "Suffocate him," Proton ordered dismissively. Coughing's cheeks puffed out, and its bodily pores opened like miniature craters. A green-colored gas erupted forcefully out, blanketing Gold before he could even blink. Without time to take a proper breath, it was all Gold could do to cover his mouth and limp away as fast as he could. It was no use. The moment he inhaled slightly, the toxic cloud overwhelmed him.